USB meeting to order. Want to rise and say pledge of allegiance. Sue, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Councilperson, Member Aprisco, Member Lynch.
Here.
Member Modesto.
Here.
Member Clem.
Here.
Member Williams. Member Cannon.
Here.
Member Zilli.
Here.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
No minutes. There are no minutes. I was in mediation today. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I seen some.
No?
Those must have been the last, I just got my iPad up to date, so it's probably.
You're in the right October meeting.
For special.
Are these okay? No?
That's probably why you saw minutes.
Okay. Move on to the claims docket, Field Forces Pay App number 6. And I believe this is the,
This is the engineering one, right?
this is, for the Field Forces building.
Or the one that came from Great Lakes.
Yes. Does someone from the Field Forces building want to get up and explain this, or someone here to explain it?
I'm here, and no, I can't.
I believe that those are the final 2 pay applications is that from a contractor?
Yeah, it's from Engineering Certificate for Payment. It's
From Hassey.
Hassey.
Yeah, I believe those are the final pay requests to close out the project.
Okay, we got an app number 6 and an app number 7. Does anybody want to discuss what's going on with 6? Other than.
Well, I do have a discussion. If no one's here to confirm that the work is done, I say we table this until we get supervisor or supervision here to confirm that this work has been completed.
And all I said, Kimenda did sign off on these. He signed the printed copies.
Yeah.
So.
I have the originals right here, but I don't have any information.
I believe, let me look, I'm pretty sure it was in Dave's email to us. Let me pull it up.
How much is it for? 19,044? Am I looking at that right? For number 6?
Changes by change order. Yeah, that's what it says. 19,044.
This pay app 7's for $55,752.
Which is, I think, the retainer.
And pay app 6 is for $98,062.40.
Pay app 7 is 752, right?
Yeah, it's right here in this first column.
Yeah.
And maybe you approve pay app 6, but then keep the retainage until the next meeting. That's one option too.
We got an occupancy permit for this building yet?
Dan signed off on both of those, and I talked to Karen Saveja, the project manager from Structure Point. You can approve the dollars, and then you can just instruct Mr. Stidham to not submit to SRF. That way you don't have to wait for another board meeting to actually approve them. You can just instruct him to hold it until he talks to Dan and say, yes, the work is done. But I believe all the work is done. This is just the final paperwork to close it out.
And then, Pat, on your question about the occupancy permit, they do not have it, and the reason why is we're doing work internal that's not done yet. Hassey's completed their work, but we can't get an occupancy permit until we have the parking lot fully paved, right? No?
So we're done. The parking lot is going to get paved. What was holding us back from the planning department was the landscaping. They've kind of given us like a leniency to wait until spring to do that. So they are going to issue us our certificate of occupancy, but I have to pay Hassey. So that's what the 2 pay apps are there for the final payment. So once we pay that, then they close out the job, then we get the certificate of occupancy, and then we can move our guys over there. So that's what we're doing right now.
So move on the contingency of the gentleman back there.
Well, I believe I may have misspoken. I was thinking the field forces were overseeing the interceptor and was crisscrossing the projects. So, but it's probably very similar with your funding for the field forces that if it approve and then just not submit for funding.
So, yeah, you have, I guess, a couple options. One is approve and pay. One is approve one and hold the other one, or one is to approve both of them contingent upon something else happening between now and the next meeting and when.
That you get with Commenda and somebody and make sure it's been done.
Sure.
So move to that.
Second. Okay. All in favor by the sign aye?
Aye. Thanks,
All
Chris.
opposed?
Thank you, sir.
So we approved 6 and 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving right along. Now let's look at biosolids pay app 9. You want to do one at a time, 9, 10, and 11, or let's look at 9 first?
Okay, so we need to, this flips like crazy.
It's $376,932.60 to Theoman, is that right?
Yes, $41,881 to escrow. And I think we have 3 of them. I don't know what the total is. Are you here to talk about the Thieneman project?
Yeah, I can speak much more clearly on these 3. So the SRF had called us that they had received the approval to pay number 10, but they had not received number 9. So there was just some signature glitch that we never got everything signed into the city in time. I believe that's the July pay application. So we have July, and then September is number 11, and then October is number 12. So those are the 3 pay applications to get current.
Is R&R Steel subcontractor on this project?
They were brought in recently by Thieneman to do the steel work.
Did they submit their responsible bidder subcontractor information to, I suppose, you? I don't know who they would split that.
The only thing that Thieneman would have submitted to me is that, hey, we have this contractor. Thieneman would have been responsible to go to the city to make sure that they were able to do work within the city.
Okay.
So they would have just notified me, hey, here's a new contractor, and it was Monday that, when they had showed up of last week.
And so are any of these pay apps for that type of work, that R&R Steel would have done?
That work would have been on number 12.
Have they been asked to submit their responsible bidder information to Thieneman? Do you know?
That I don't know. I mean, I asked Thieneman.
When did they start? Sorry, when did they start working out there?
R&R did the work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of last week.
So they've been there over a week.
And what work were they
Just
doing?
3 days.
No. But I'm saying it's been since over a week that they've been out there.
Yes.
What work were they doing?
The reinforcing steel for the slab.
Were they the original subcontractor for that part of the project? Who was the original?
I believe I heard Fort Wayne.
You know what?
Is the company name, but I don't know.
Do you know why the change?
I believe a lot of it had to do with schedule. That because of the change order and the time of year, that Thieneman needed to get this reinforcing steel down quickly so that we can get ready to pour the concrete.
I think the concern is obviously that there was a switch in subs, and the second R&R Steel is not a responsible bidder under our ordinance, and so it makes it an issue, obviously, for the board to authorize payment on that until that comes into compliance.
Yeah, we need to have that paperwork for sure.
I make a motion to deny payment till we
12.
further investigate.
Of number 12, is that?
On all of the pay apps?
I say all of them. They want to play games, and then we hold their money until they come through with who makes the rules around here, and it's not them.
I mean, the work for 9 and 11 have certainly been completed and within the contract compliance. If we believe that R&R is not within contract compliance, then I believe that you guys would be legally responsible for withholding 9 and 11. I don't know what that would entail, but I think 9 and 11 are certainly able and qualified to be paid.
And that work's complete and been signed off of?
Yes.
I heard something about signatures.
Yeah, let's get an opinion from our
We've
attorney.
got the signatures now.
It's on there.
You got, because I heard you say signatures wasn't on one of them.
That was from July, we didn't have a signature on it to get to the board meeting in time.
Okay, how about if we get an opinion from our attorney? Legal.
It's my opinion that if there's no RBO concerns, or compliance concerns with 9 and 11, we should pay 9 and 11 and withhold 12.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
So
9 and 11 will be paid and 10 will be held, or 12 will be held up.
And who is going to, are you, Brian, gonna direct the sub to comply, or do we need to have someone else do that, or how are we gonna make sure that?
Mr. Sweeney from the building department stopped out on site, was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday, and had brought up that Thieneman's registration with the city had expired, but he's been in contact with Thieneman to get that rectified. So Thieneman will work with the building department to make sure that R&R gets the necessary paperwork in place.
That's including permit?
Do we have anybody, I mean, I'll leave, I think one of the plan, or zoning board members is here. I think he would like to say a few words about that. Jeff Beach, would you like to come up and talk about what's going on here with this?
Well, you're kind of putting me on the spot, but I am sitting back there, asking myself a few questions. You just approved 2 payments, and you don't even know that they met the RBO standards with those contractors. Obviously, if they've got it on App 12, they didn't meet it. Let's just say they met it. I don't even know who the contractors are. They may have met them. I don't know. But you just approved 2 payments, and nobody has checked to see what else they've done.
Well, we were told they were completed, so they were signed off.
Well, except now I've heard that Mr. Sweeney has said that even Thieneman's paperwork is not in order.
Yeah, that's
so
a
I don't
new-
think we should pay any at this
It's a
time.
new piece of
Okay.
information.
Yeah, well, I was taking advice of our attorney, but I'm gonna recant my vote. I'm gonna make another motion to hold all 3 payments, as my original comment was.
Second.
Motion.
Yep.
I'm gonna stick with my first motion.
Okay.
Hold back all 3 payments.
I'll give you some, you got one.
And somebody needs, I'm sorry, there's a motion, need a second.
Okay.
I think
I
we
think
got a second.
There's a second.
John seconded it. We'll let John second it. Do we have to rescind the first one that we already voted on?
Are these
Discuss it.
Okay.
Are these a conditional approval for 9 and 11 if they met the RBO requirements that Mr. Stidham can just send those on to SRF for payment? Because the contractors were the ones part of the original bid. Sweeney Electric, Thieneman was self-performing the work. I believe those were the only 2. Maybe some HVAC work.
I think they just said the other one, you said it.
Yeah, no. I think this is a new issue.
Compliance.
Yeah.
This is a new issue.
It's not about their contracting work, it's about the fact that they don't have everything licensed in the city at the moment. Thieneman themselves doesn't.
They've sent the paperwork in, Vincent sent me a text that they had sent the paperwork into the building department yesterday to get everything, make sure that they were up to date.
Cause they got caught.
Yeah.
Brian, aren't you overseeing these projects?
Yes.
Well, why aren't you watching for that kind of stuff? I mean, we are counting on you and we're paying you to do that.
But the issue with the permit and the licensing is the city building department. That's not on me and American Structure Point. I don't confirm that they have their license intact with the building department, that it's updated on a yearly basis. The building department checks those and does the update on the registrations.
Who checks to make sure they're compliant with the RBO?
Well, that was done at the beginning of the project when we authorized the bid.
And then you switch contractors. So who checked on this contractor to make sure they're compliant with the RBO?
We will go back and look at that.
On steel, that's on.
And all the other,
He's saying
If they've checked already on the other ones and they were on the original list, then they're compliant, I would presume, but I'd make sure.
I'm not gonna presume. I've made my motion to withhold all 3
And I
payments.
second it.
Okay, all in favor? Sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much for catching that, man. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're moving into the reports of utility officials. We don't have an engineer, so we don't get an engineering.
Can we go back to the Thieneman thing? Sorry.
Sure.
Who's checking now to be compliant with the RBOs? We started that discussion and then we didn't finish it.
I would assume that Thieneman would certainly be motivated now to prove compliance.
Okay.
So I think it's on them.
Can we send them a legal letter?
Sure.
Saying this is what happened and you are to do this?
Sure.
Send them our ordinance policy to make sure, just refresh your memory of,
Do we have to make a motion?
how it works around here.
No.
Okay.
Liz, is it okay if I say something?
Yes, yes.
I apologize. You know, everybody knows who I am. I'm the president of the Pine Workers. This isn't a union or non-union issue. This is about an individual, a contractor that is banned from the state of Ohio for doing federal projects. He exploits workers, payroll fraud. He was running around the city of Cincinnati naked, screaming he's the best guy next to God. This is what we're bringing into the state of Indiana. And I'm going to the legislators and try to get some help from them to keep this guy, get him barred from the state of Indiana. We don't need that.
No.
We don't need any workers to be exploited, period. This isn't a union or non-union issue. I just want to make that clear. I'm here as an iron worker. I'm here as BZA member, the park board member, everything else. I'm here as an iron worker and a citizen of Portage. So
Thank you.
I'm gonna follow our state rep and senator and try to take this a step further. But I just want everybody to know this isn't a union or non-union issue.
What was the name of the company again?
R&R Steel.
Anything I can do to assist, man,
Ron
please let me
Haskins
know.
is his name. You got, there's a ton of reading there.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what this
I read about 4 pages and it was,
He's had parking garages fall down. He exploits workers. He brings them in from Miami, basically. If you read responsible bid orders, there's certified payrolls go along with this. They've got him documented. He's taking the guy's paycheck back and giving him what he should give him. Wow, this isn't stuff. It's all documents. He's got lawsuits for sexual harassment, payroll fraud. It's ongoing. You know, I killed a tree today making you guys copies of that stuff.
I'm glad you did. Thank you.
Jeff, do you have another copy of this? Sue didn't get one.
Yeah, I got one for Mark.
I think I'm a little disappointed in you, Brian, that we have Jeff coming here giving us information that this company should have never been on site here. So what is your reasoning for that?
I mean, we just found out about the work, the new company coming in on Monday, doing the work. Up until now, we had no reason to believe that any of Thieneman subs would have had any issues. These guys will still be responsible for submitting certified payroll to the city. And that's what they're going to be responsible for.
So your company
American Structure Point.
support you again in any of our projects if you're gonna waste our tax dollars and let fraudulent companies come into our city and use our tax dollars for a company as such. It's gonna come in and fraudulent, rip off the workers that's out here doing the work. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You don't support us, I will not support you.
And again, the contract documents require that Thieneman follows the procedures set forth by the city.
So why'd we hire you?
Because I'm making sure that the construction is done accordingly.
Brian, do you guys get a checklist of companies that are questionable and that shouldn't be doing business with us? I mean, is there like a checklist out there somewhere?
Not that
And so you can go through that? I mean, you really need to have something like that. Because we're sitting here now, we're trying to get a project done before the snow flies, and now we've come up with a problem thanks to Jeff. We wouldn't even know about it if it wasn't for Jeff.
And also, you're supposed to be out there 24 hours a day, am I correct?
No.
No, okay.
So the iron work is done. We're waiting for concrete to be, and that's been inspected, the iron work, and
Yes,
who's inspected it?
that was me.
John, the work was done properly.
Was?
It's done. Yeah, it's done.
Because I was going to suggest that you go and check it out
No,
for
I
us,
already
Jeff.
did. There's nothing wrong with the work. it's not about all the other work, you know, it's about the
Yeah,
contractor.
I got you. Yeah. And where do these workers?
Just, we're not, as Local 395 or anybody else, we're not trying to stop this project from finishing. It's done, it's in.
Right.
You know, so whatever the city has to do in the council and utility board to finish that project before the snow flies needs to be done, but there needs to be some
consequences, yeah.
So the concrete is poured?
No.
Not yet. They're getting that scheduled now.
Do you know when it's scheduled to be poured?
I don't have the exact date, but it should be at some point next week.
And we're hitting the time frame now where they're not gonna be pouring very shortly, so.
How long does that got to cure before any weight's put on it?
30 days.
Jeff,
30 days is all.
Jeff, how did?
Go ahead, John.
Jeff, how did this come? How were you informed of R&R Steel? Because I know Chris was informed by Bill, I'm assuming.
What's that? I'm sorry.
How are you informed of R&R Steel coming?
I was made aware of it earlier today. Yeah.
Fort Wayne Reinforcing had the contract.
Right.
I put Doug Sweeney in contact with Fort Wayne Reinforcing. I've contacted Fort Wayne Reinforcing. They were never removed from their contract. The rebar had been there. And like you said, I'm not even sure what days. I thought it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Whatever days it was, they showed up and did the work. Obviously, you know where the water treatment plant is, so there's no reason to be going back there and pursuing the job. The contractor has. Fort Wayne Reinforcing will obviously go after Thieneman for breaking their contract with them. I believe Thieneman brought, or Fort Wayne, or I'm sorry, R&R brought somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 15 guys. I can't tell you exactly how many, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 15 individuals working on that project. So, I was called by another contractor, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And I was at a conference when I got back on Wednesday. Thursday I left the conference early to come back and it was done. I got back about 3 in the afternoon. There was nobody on the project Thursday. I don't think anybody was there Friday when I went there. Obviously, I contacted Doug Sweeney, and he got there yesterday and talked to some people.
Thank you.
That's just a mess. I'm telling you, I agree with Pat. I mean, wow. What? I believe we approved it with Fort Wayne in the contract, right?
They were the original. Yeah.
Their original contract.
How could they just? Brian? How can they just be taken off? I don't get that.
Well, that's an issue that Thieneman will have with its subcontractors, but that's a means and methods that we as the engineer cannot dictate. We can't tell them what to do or how to do it. We can only say, yes, you did it right, or no, you didn't, and you need to correct it.
So Thieneman's who we need to be talking to.
If I would have told Thieneman on Monday that you do not, with this contractor, you must stop work, then they would have looked at me and put us and the city, therefore, on notice that we're delaying the project. All I can do is say, okay, Thieneman, make sure you get the paperwork in so that the contractor is approved to move forward. And then it's up to Thieneman to follow that. So I can't do it because I would take the responsibility for both Structure Point and the city to stop them. And we all know what the impact is if they were stopped because of us. Right. They would have cause to come back for more money.
I have a question for you, Brian. Was you aware that was a different company when they came in there?
Yes.
Did you reach out to anyone at all about it?
Thieneman and said, make sure that you've got all the documentation that you need for them.
Did you reach out to any board member or the chairman of this board that hired you?
Nope.
No? Okay, thank you.
Move on. Anybody like to make a motion to approve the claim docket itself? Everybody had a chance to look at the claims?
I didn't see anything glaring. I'll make the motion to approve.
You'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, let's go in, like I said, we don't have an engineer right now for an engineering report. Let's go to the report of projects, interceptor change order.
And so there is now a change order in Dropbox. I failed to put it in there even though I had it. It's just a change, it's a decrease. It's to close out the interceptor project. They ended up just having a lesser quantity. So it's just a change order reducing the project by $2,000 and some odd dollars. So obviously it's something we want to approve. They just need this to be able to close out the interceptor. So my apologies for not putting it in there sooner. I just noticed that I hadn't put it in.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Sign aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. Budget update. Sue, would you like to give a budget update?
We had a budget meeting, but we're kind of like, we haven't got anything to approve because we're in transition. So we had a lengthy discussion. We listened to the field forces and we listened to the guys tell us the needs that they have at the plant. I'm working on those minutes, but really there isn't anything that we can do. We're splitting these boards and we don't know what our status is. So Mark was at mediation today. So it looks like by the first of the year we'll be splitting. So we really kind of can't make a budget. It's kind of in limbo right now.
What I was at that budget meeting, and what you did was we identified areas that needed that were of concerns for next year. So when we pass it over to the new boards, we'll make sure they get the report from the budget committee.
I want to say that as the budget chairman for this board, I think we need to stay in touch with the new boards to keep them updated. I mean, I think it's important. We've been very involved with the processes that are going on in the projects, and I think the new board isn't as involved as we are. So I feel that as a board and people that have worked really hard on this, at least we can input information to them.
And bring them up to par.
On the budget, if by, say, I don't know, the week before our December meeting, a transition plan isn't clear, can we have a budget prepared that we're ready to put in place January 1st should this board still exist?
You'll have a transition plan to vote on at the December meeting.
Okay, never mind.
So we'll be having an executive session. We'll need to, so Madam Chairman, we need to schedule an executive session prior to the December meeting, but you'll have a transition plan to vote on.
Okay.
If I could ask about payroll, will we have to move anything around before the end of the year to have, make sure we have a budget for paying our employees? How's that look?
What do you mean?
Was overtime overspent?
No, we went through, so at that budget committee meeting, we went through this year's budget, and actually things were very much in line. I think there was a couple line items that they had some concern over. Other than that, the departments of the two sides have managed their budgets extraordinarily well. Overtime, no salaries were an issue that I recall. It was some supplies issues. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the plant report.
Real quick, on the budget, I don't know if we want to do this now. Dave Littleton did send us an email about a few money transfers that he wants to make in his budget line items to cover some of the costs at the new building for the stuff that wasn't included. Do we want to do that now or just wait until a little bit later?
We can do them now.
Do it now.
Okay, so he's requesting that we transfer $16,000 from field supplies and $16,000 from field maintenance parts to professional services. And that'll allow them, Courtney, what exactly is this $32,000 for?
So the employee parking lot is gravel, and we were going to just do it since we didn't think we had any money left over this year, or had money this year. We were just going to do it next year. But Dave looked at the budgets and then saw some money, so he figured I could take this from here and this from here and combine and asphalt the employee parking lot. And then all the guys will be so happy.
And
now, Is there a number that we have that's been estimated at from any company that's gonna asphalt that? Do we have a number on that?
You know, that's a great question. I know that, they talked, I just have not been included in that conversation. I was only included in the transferring of money conversation. I wasn't included with who was doing it.
I believe this will cover the cost of it, but
I mean, is there gonna be excess? Is that just enough to cover? I mean, is there estimates to reflect of these numbers, or we just moving money and don't know that it's gonna be enough, or it's gonna be too much?
I don't have a paper in front of me. I'm sure Dan has an estimate on how much.
I wish we had that.
Because then that way, I mean, because Dave wouldn't, you know.
Oh, I know, yeah, no, I understand that.
Number, so there's an estimate, it's just unfortunately I do not have it.
so I mean, if we move the 32,000 to he's requesting professional services and we don't spend it, I mean, it'll just carry over to 2019, correct?
Yes. Is professional services that qualify a parking lot?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion
to go ahead and.
Second.
To 32,000.
I'll second it.
Well, it's 16 from field supplies and 16 from field
I
maintenance.
just got a text message, it's 38,000.
38,000?
So we had the other
Yeah.
They
6,000.
have the estimate, like I said,
Nice.
I don't physically.
Well, that's just good to hear.
They
Thank you.
include me in 90%, 10%, they forget about it, you know, I don't know.
Thank you.
My motion for that.
Why? I think
Why?
they have 6,000 left.
No,
They have money in
this
there.
is all they need to move this
To finish it.
to finish it.
16,000 out of each.
I made a motion, I seconded it.
How could it be 38, 16, 16, 32?
They had
6,000 left already,
already,
like,
yeah.
all in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed, same sign. Ayes carry.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along to the plant report. Don, you wanna get up here and tell us what's going on at the plant?
Well, this week, the digester, the south digester last week was taken down, cleaned by our staff. The contractor went in, made the installation of new diffusers. And we will release that digester yesterday. So the digester is complete as far as the installation of all the diffusers, the oxygen diffusers. They're working on little things like the dissolved oxygen meters, and now they're down to the meters with the electricity. So a lot of small things are being buttoned up. Again, the pad's been worked on. Brian mentioned the fact it would be poured next week. Second thing I had was the blowers that were the old blowers, I found somebody, instead of taking them to the scrapyard, they did buy them, they came and got them.
Good job.
We made a barter on the sawdust, so I'm sending an invoice to the company tomorrow. So I think we got a little bit more money out of them than just the scrap, and they're going to Farrell's farm.
Plus sawdust.
Pardon me?
Plus sawdust.
Yeah, plus, yeah, 10 loads, 20-yard trucks. So that worked out well for us, and instead of us having to haul all that, we got plenty of scrap to haul. So everything's been documented with the serial numbers off the old equipment, and I can give you a copy of that at the next meeting after they make the purchase. We did have a violation this month. What happened is our water got contaminated. The violation is in a test called CBOD. We do a test 5 days a week. What we violated is the measure of frequency. We're supposed to do it 5 times a week. The test is read 5 days later. So you don't know if your water's contaminated or not. We had to go buy bottled water from Meyer to we have deionized water. The water was changed, and the next day that the test was read, it was observed that it was contaminated. So the water we bought from a company ended up, we believe, was contaminated because we used regular distilled water from the store, and our tests now are coming out. So that happens. That's happened a couple times. So we're mitigating that right now.
So Don, explain why you have to go to Meijer to buy water. I'm sorry, I'm just confused.
Well,
for
they
what?
sell distilled water. Okay, we use distilled water.
Got it.
You can't use just tap water.
Got it. Okay, I get what you're saying.
So our water is actually, we buy it from a company in cylinders, which is deionized water. That goes through another water system with filters, so that you don't have anything in the water.
Got it.
It's zero, nothing. So you get distilled water from the store if all fails, which is the remedy. So we may switch to all bought water from like a store because we're having issues. We have filters that can grow algae, and if not used all the time. I mean, there's a lot that could go wrong with one test. It's the test you love to hate. Ask the technicians. It's a crazy test, but it's required. So, other than that, I didn't have anything else. If you had any questions for me.
One thing I have is, you guys been still experimenting with that sawdust for dry?
Yeah, we have the experimental pile still there. Interesting enough, after about 3 weeks, we were taking some temperature readings. It's actually composting now.
So that
at about 135.
So it takes about 3 weeks then, huh?
Yeah, all of a sudden it's all broken open and things started to gel in it.
Nice.
So we're continuing to just check that and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. So we're going to weigh it all out. Any other questions?
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
The staff's doing a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, staff.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you guys want the invoice now for the blowers that we just sent?
Is it complete?
Email it to you right now?
That's fine.
Okay.
More information, better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, how about the field report? We're on to the field report. Courtney, I know you're the only one here, so.
I'm the only one here. Unless, I guess I'll pull a Dave. Anything outside the report, I can answer any questions if you have.
So
where's Dan and
So Dan is on vacation and Dave went to an MS4 compliance class down south somewhere. I know where it is, it's written down, but
Okay.
So, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this question. So how does jetting work? Not literally how does it work, but how do we decide, how do we schedule the jetting, and then what's the area that is affected? You know, and I ask because I think Sue and I were talking about this.
I just talked to the guys.
That did it.
And you know, in your reports, a lot of times, your weekly reports, we get these reports of residents complaining about we were doing jetting in their neighborhood, and then bad things happened in their house.
right. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time.
Sure, but
occasionally.
But I think of the last 5 reports, it's been in probably 3 of them, maybe. So the question is it possible that we can notify them at all, or what options do we have here?
So here's the thing. So we have the city of Portage, and then in the beginning of the year, they start here, and then they go to this zone, this zone, this zone. And there are some neighborhoods, like, I can't even think of my head, maybe by Lute or somewhere else, where.
Capital Estates.
Yeah.
Off of Portage Avenue.
So their lines are,
Street.
so they have these lines, and when they jet, if they're even like remotely a little bit stronger than normal, if they're, say the guys are just in doing their job, and it causes a burp, and then that's why their toilets explode.
Okay.
So what we were doing is we had, I think last year.
Yeah.
To ask Sue.
Last year we had a lot more complaints about toilet explosions than we have this year. So we started putting it on Facebook. Well, what I was getting is people would still call and be like, well, I don't have Facebook. They wanted the all call. Well, we couldn't do an all call every single day. Yeah. And so we would, when they were in those troubled areas, then we would post it on Facebook just to somewhat cover in case they saw or they didn't see. So, I mean, as far as it...
Can we do I think the water company, right? When they're coming out and doing flushing in an area, like flushing the hydrants or whatever, they'll come and put a little sticker on your door saying, over the next couple days, we're going to be flushing in your area. My question is, how far in advance are you scheduling? So are you going to, do you know today that you're going to be in Capital Estates 3 days from now, or you don't know until the morning of?
I believe... Honestly, I do not do the scheduling.
Okay,
Wes does that. I don't know where they go. I just ask them at the end of the week where they go, and then I get the phone calls. But, I mean, it's so fast that, I mean, they could be on the street, and then we're going through all these door hangers to be like, hey, we're going to be in your area, and they may not even have any problems. Or this people may have a problem, and this people may not. I mean, so, and it's just so fast. And moving so quickly, the door hangers, it would just not be very cost friendly. So the only thing I can do is...
Unless you're the resident with your toilet exploded.
Right. And, I mean, and I try to explain them how horrible that is. There's nothing.
So I guess if we're notifying them that we're gonna be there, and it happens, notifying them isn't going to stop it from
Well, no, I think, but aren't you supposed to put your lid down, and that at least helps it not?
I mean, if there's water.
Or does that not help it? Okay.
I mean, there's water that's still gonna come out of the toilet, out of.
Gotcha.
It just depends on how it is.
Then that should have been my first question. Is there anything that can be done that can mitigate the issue?
Yeah.
But I thought you just put the lid down and that helped not spray everywhere.
I think that burp is in there though, because like when Scott was at my house. And when he flushed, the burp just, I mean, it was like Mount Vesuvius. It was
this happened to you?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Of course.
Boy.
All right.
I mean, it took every towel, every blanket, every...
Right. I mean, we send Gary out there, or we'll send Wes out there, and, if there is any issues, we try to, help.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's a mess to clean up in it.
But there's nothing
It's clean water.
Yeah,
it's clean.
Well, if you don't push it.
Thanks, Courtney.
Hello, Courtney.
Other than that, that's, outside we do our guys do a great job. We love our guys. They are really hardworking, and they.
I'll stand up right now.
We're at the on the ditch crew, and I got nothing really else. We're street sweeping. We're picking up leaves. And I got nothing else.
Thank you.
I did meet with Dave and Dan. I knew they weren't going to be at this meeting. Neighborhood projects are finished up with the lighting. The building is finished up, and then we are finished up with West Side Interceptor.
I do have a question, Courtney, maybe you'll help me with. Over on Mulberry, Dan was going to find out about them getting slip lined. Is there any solution on that yet?
So here's the thing with Mulberry. It's in situ form again, so we have been in contact with them multiple times. I actually just sent an email last Thursday, like, where are you guys? What is going on? Sure. And I didn't get a response. Dan said that he was going to contact Brandon again, and then I didn't hear anything. So then I emailed Brandon on Friday. I don't want to quote his name because I don't even know.
That's fine.
So then I emailed Brandon on Friday, and he was on vacation. And as of Tuesday, I have not heard a word. But we've had a lot of people call and question, and I'm like, I know, please, I'm sorry, we're just waiting for this company. Because we had signed the documentation 3 weeks ago and said, okay, let's do this, we got the approval. And we are literally just waiting on in-situ form.
They're the only ones that can do that for us?
Yes, or they're,
I think they're like the only company that does.
Well, I don't think that they're the only ones, but I think as far as price.
Yeah, they're the
I think
best,
he came
cheapest
in,
option.
Dan got 3 quotes, I think, for the project, and we presented it to you guys, and I think they came in at low.
Yeah, because there should be a deadline on that contract, am I correct? There should be, of when they're gonna come in and do that?
And you know, and if there is, I'm really horrible at reading contracts, and I do not read it. I send and ask questions.
I'll check with Dan and
Yeah.
Dave.
Anything else?
Anybody have anything else for court?
No.
Nope.
Okay, unfinished business. I don't think there is any new business. Have any new business?
Chris, don't we wanna?
Yeah, it's I think on her list, sorry.
The new business, we should hold an executive session before our next USB meeting in December. So, is everybody available? How long will it?
Let me pull up my calendar.
And honestly, I would suggest maybe just making it at 5 o'clock, because we don't really need that much time anymore for these meetings.
No.
Yeah.
So start the regular one at 5:30 and.
So,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that's.
is that okay with you?
Fine.
Is that okay with everybody?
Will we have a
Executive,
proposal before then to look at?
Yeah.
Can that
Should
happen?
have-
We can do that,
Okay.
we can do that.
So December 4th.
Because I just don't wanna get it that night and vote on it.
December 4th, we have our executive 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
then what, do we have a date that we can have that information by to review for executive?
Probably just the normal course, it'll be that Thursday before,
That's fine.
although we're supposed to get some stuff from the other side by December 1st.
December 1st, yeah.
So it may be a little bit late, but
Yeah.
certainly that Friday before the Tuesday meeting.
you guys, would you maybe have a special meeting? No, just have it, okay. Do I have a motion do we have to have a motion to have it?
Yeah, it
I'll
just,
go ahead and make the
it
motion.
shouldn't, I'm sorry.
I'll go ahead and move.
I'll second it.
Yep.
It shouldn't take too long because, again, you already approved the first transition plan, and it really just extends that with one more paragraph.
So we're going to advertise an executive session for 5 and the meeting for 5:30.
On December 4th.
Yes.
Yes.
All
Wait,
in favor?
Just, sorry, real quick. Is it USB that needs to have it or city council that needs to have it? Who's voting on it?
It's city council's voting on it, but I think we'd like to do both. Exactly.
Okay,
Just have a
Same
joint,
time?
yeah.
got
At
it.
the same time. But we'll do the same thing at the city council and announce that it's basically a joint meeting,
Got it. Perfect.
joint executive.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Reception of remonstrances. Any input from any?
We have to do that.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, we got another one. Go ahead.
yeah, so Mark and John and I think, and I don't think Scott ever had opportunity to meet, maybe Scott also, had learned recently that part of a neighborhood in Portage has been declared in a flood zone, and it's affected, I don't know, a street full of houses, and then a large farm field adjacent to it. And probably a few of us know because none of us are in flood zones, but being declared in a flood zone means you have to get flood insurance. It makes trying to sell your house nearly impossible because a buyer's not going to want that, and mortgages are messed up and things like that. So there is I'm going to call it a HEC study. The engineer in the room could probably clarify if that's the right terminology. A HEC study that can be done that will determine if that flood zone can be changed and moved, I guess, and you submit that to the Army Corps or something, and then they redo the flood zone maps, and then these people can be removed, and then that farm field probably can then be developed. So that's probably a project or something that this board could authorize. And
Where, just out of curiosity, where?
Anderson and Kimberly, that area back there, yeah.
Is that something we can enter into, or do we have to wait for the new board to do that?
We can do it, it's not a violation of transition.
Where's this at though? I missed where you said.
Kimberly and Anderson.
Where Willow Creek comes under Stone.
Like that U-shaped 3 streets or whatever that just
It's
kinda,
Kimberly,
Right by the
Kimberly
bridge.
Street, I believe it's called, and Anderson, Pat, right off of Stone Avenue.
It's the first left turn off Stone.
The south side?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
There's a creek or drainage ditch or something that runs right along the back of their property.
It's just a dead end street, isn't it? Or does it wind up?
No, it uses around, and that ditch is what's caused everything to be declared a flood zone. And you can go by the ditch, it would take a 500-year rain to do anything out there, you know what I'm saying? So
That runs into Willow Creek.
it does, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's another one that this fell into off of O'Hare, off of Airport Road. Squirrel Creek runs through the back of there, and 3 homes were put into a flood zone. And it's been a nightmare for those residents, yeah.
And it's a huge.
I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're.
Oh, wait,
I don't think it's one of our.
yeah, it wasn't, but yeah, there's 3 homes right on the back.
So the one
So
thing
what,
you
how
have,
do you go about doing the study?
So the board would just authorize an engineer to do a HEC study, whoever you guys want, and then the results of that study would get forwarded to, I'm not an engineer, I don't know the exact process, but that gets forwarded to RB Corps of Engineers, and then they do something, and then, yeah.
Who owns this property back there anyways? Who's asking to do this?
Well, there's 10 homeowners or so along the street. I don't know the individuals, and then there's a farm field owned by the Ketwigs. That part of their farm field is in it, not the whole thing, but maybe 10% of it or something.
And there's
Anderson property back
there.
there.
There are how many homes in that subdivision?
Like I said, maybe, well, it's not the whole subdivision.
Oh,
It's
it's
maybe
just that
like
one street?
the 10 or that are along the creek there. Yeah.
They did that at one time on Glenwood, when we lived on Glenwood, and we got it taken out of the floodplain because we were so close to the creek.
And what they cost, 100,000?
Oh, no, it was. I think the estimate is like 50 or something like that.
For the study?
50,000, yeah.
I make a motion to authorize the HEX report for that. Can we add in O'Hare if we need
That's what I
to?
was just gonna ask.
Oh, this was probably 2 or 3 years ago, so I don't know, it may be beyond that point.
I thought that was resolved.
Yeah, I think they went out and they had their
I
own
thought
study
that
done,
was
so.
what did you say, John, you make a motion for what?
Yeah, to authorize up to 50,000 for the HEC report.
Go ahead, let's make a
That's
second.
what it's called.
You making a second?
Whatever the report is called, that's what their motion is.
Tax report.
But I think we need to find out, is there already someone that has that preliminary business going, an engineering company out of LaPorte? I thought they had some preliminary discussions a few years back, and they might have it before.
And they may, I don't know, we can find a follow-up between the 3 or 4 of us here.
They already got some.
Who's coming before the board to ask to do this? Is it homeowners? Is it the farmer? Is it?
Both. The 10 houses along the creek bank that
But
have
how
now
to come about those 10 houses? How this?
Well, they
how
were
this
informed by the
formed?
insurance company, they have to have flood insurance.
But I mean, I don't see no one come before the board is what I'm asking. How'd this get generated? Who come to who and where to come from?
So Mark called me out and Cannon and Scott, and we met with Dan Ketwig and the homeowner, I don't know, on the corner there, right as you do the bend, and indicated what was going on. I did not meet with the other 8 or 9 homeowners. I don't know if you talked to them or whatever. We didn't ask them to come, you know.
Yeah, well, no, I just want to know, I mean, are we talking one home? I mean, because we're just throwing numbers out there.
9 houses there.
I mean, is it more so for the farmland or is it more so for existing homes?
Well, the farmland wouldn't have anything to do with any insurance at this point until there was something built there. So
Well,
it's the
that's why
homeowners now.
It
the
may
current
be
homeowners.
already wetlands and they can't build there and they want to change it.
Well, then that's up to the report. We don't know that.
So who's
Is that what the
gonna do
report
this?
reads now?
Who's gonna do this report?
We'll have to find an engineer company to do it.
I think you should, if you're gonna approve it, and then have the chairman, Mr. Williams, research the LaPorte engineering firm issue, and then also engage the services of.
I'll amend my motion to include what Attorney Elwood just stated.
You gonna second or second?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, all in favor by the sign of aye?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call
Member Clem,
No.
Member Cannon,
Yes.
Member Modesto,
then. No.
Member Zilli,
No.
Member Lynch,
Yes.
Member Prisco.
Yes.
Fails, I guess it's a tie.
3-3.
I mean, I think we need to have people
More
come before us and
information.
request it. It's just, I'm not convinced this board should be paying for this study.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't, I want them to come before us, I wanna see a request
I don't know who it is.
brought before us.
It's a stormwater issue, this is why we brought it up here.
Yes and no, I mean.
And they talked to the representatives, I mean, but I'm sure they'll come out.
I'm almost sure that a developer did it when they developed our property. They were developing more property and they said it was in a flood zone, so they went with the whole, everything along the creek over there on Glen Rose and Glenwood and getting it taken out of the flood zone. So it was the developer that paid for the
Yeah,
study.
my
The city
understanding
didn't.
is this farm field's going to be developed for homes. I mean, I'm not sure that we should be paying for the study for the developer who's going to develop this and sell the property to homeowners. That's my biggest concern. Because once we start doing that, we're going to be stuck doing that for every developer that this happens to. So should the property at Luton Airport that is going to be underdeveloped or being developed be declared in the floodplain because there's a creek right there, is that developer gonna come and ask us to do a $50,000 study? And are we gonna say yes then? I think they need to come before us and explain this and explain what they're requesting. Because I'm not sure we should be fronting the cost of an entire study.
What do you do about the homeowners?
The homeowners, I think we need to consider doing 2 studies. I mean, why should we be paying for a developer who's gonna develop the land and sell it for profit to do the study to determine if he can build there? That's my biggest concern. So,
I think that's exactly my concern.
because once we start doing that and go down that rabbit hole, we're gonna be doing it anytime this happens. They're gonna come and request, won't be us, it'll be the new stormwater board, but they're gonna come before them and request it.
But if they don't develop for 10 years, then the 8 homes that are along the floodplain now will be penalized.
No, I'm not.
It's pie in the sky if someone's gonna develop that.
I'm not saying no to the
Well,
study right now. I'm saying they need to come before us and request this and explain. I mean, I want to know, is it the developer asking for it? Are all 10 homeowners asking for it? We need to know who's asking for it.
Well, I would also like to find out who paid for the study on O'Hara, if they got taken out of the floodplain.
Yeah, and I don't know how that was resolved, so.
Maybe homeowners' responsibility.
Chris, can we do a
Homeowners'
research
insurance.
on if we've had to pay for a HEX study in the past in the city?
Might be a.
I'll find out, I'm sure we could
I
look
mean, if we
that.
have a precedent of doing it, then I understand that. I just don't know that we do. I mean, $50,000 is a lot of money for a study.
Maybe the planning commission did, who knows?
Right, it could have been the plan commission that asked
I
for
remember
it.
it happening, I just don't remember who did it.
Okay, so moving right along, now we're into public input and any other business. Anybody in the audience like to get up and speak? Address the board? Please state your name and address.
I'd like to address the board. My name is John Elson. You can call me Jack. I go by my nickname. And I live at 21137 West Braxton Lane in Plainfield, Illinois. But I'm here to talk about a property in Portage, 3130 Willow Creek Road. And I'm here to represent the Raymond and Irene Rich Trust. A trustee of the trust, Lisa Rain, is sitting there, and she's asked me to represent the trust and speak to the board regarding a utility bill that's being charged to this property at 3130 Willow Creek Road. I have talked to members of the city council, and in particular, Sue Lynch suggested that I might come before the board this evening. And my request, our request is that the bill's stop being billed to this property.
May I ask why?
Good question. I wondered if somebody would ask that. Because there is a house on this property. It has been uninhabited for 26 years. It is uninhabitable, it's unoccupied. There's nobody that lives there. And there is no water service being provided to this house. There is no one there to use the garbage. As a matter of fact, there are no garbage cans on the property. So it just seems to me that if this property is not using these services, why should it pay for them?
You're requesting sanitary and trash, correct?
Yes.
Not storm.
No, we understand that the storm sewer benefits all land in Portage, and we really don't have a problem paying for the storm sewer fee.
Do you have no current water or electricity run into this property?
There has not been any services to that property for many, many years. In fact, there were no bills being sent to, for that property for many, many years, and for some strange reason, we're not really sure why, bills started to be sent. I think it was back in May.
Well, we know why now. We had conducted a study of all the properties in Portage. An outside firm had conducted a study, and we discovered that some weren't being billed, and we have new addresses. That's why you started getting a bill.
Okay.
There's a lot of homes that are inhabitable that
weren't getting billed.
Weren't getting billed.
Well, that makes sense,
yeah.
Sure, but this one
We understand.
is not.
I have.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ben.
How long has this home been uninhabitable?
It's been about 26 years.
And why is that home still sitting there?
Because
Why don't
nobody
the homeowners be responsible and take it down and sell the piece of property as
We are
value?
attempting to sell the property. This land is in a trust. Mr. Raymond Rich passed away a couple of years ago, and the trust that owned the property that he put the land into before he passed away is now in the process of going through legal processes of that land being liquidated right now as we speak.
Because don't we have codes, ordinances of uninhabitable homes need to be condemned and taken down?
Imagine we do.
We do, it depends on the safety of the structure. I don't know what shape the structure's in. It's not just a vacant house, it's gotta be dangerous.
Sure. Roof caving in, holes in the roof, or what have you.
I deem to. I mean, I agree with what you've said. I think if you're not using our services, we shouldn't charge you for them.
So my question, I know we could do sanitary. Who would have to do trash? Not us, right? Would it be Board of Works?
The city council.
Yeah, because the city council can. Yeah. We bill it. It goes out on the utility bill, but I don't think we would be able to.
It's a city service.
Let me get something straight. You weren't getting a bill for how many years, and then all of a sudden you started getting a bill?
I really couldn't say exact how many, but probably at least 20, if not 26.
Pervious surface started and a lot of people started.
Yeah, you probably got your first bill in January or February. That's
probably more like March or April.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just so the board is aware, I mean, this issue, unrelated to this particular property, but this issue of vacant fees has come up probably as long as the board has been around or the utility has been around. So, just understand that obviously there are many, many, many other vacant properties, and so that's always the struggle is.
Are they getting billed?
Sure, yeah, we bill everything, so it's just.
Because we began to try and figure out who we could contact on this, we did call somebody at I think it could have been Cheryl Smolar, who works every day, and she's there to answer the phone. I think she's the clerk, and she didn't know what to tell us, who to contact, who to talk to. She obviously was not going to stop billing this property because she believes it's her duty to do so. So we've been wandering around for a couple of months trying to figure out who to talk to, and I actually did contact the city council much earlier this month, beginning of October, about this matter. Yes, and I know they're trying to figure out what to do about it, what to check into, but then Sue suggested that I come here before the board this evening and talk to everybody in person, so that's what I am
we get a lot of requests from like landlords when tenants move out and the place is vacant for a while they're looking for new renters. That's a common one. We get banks, every time there's a foreclosure, the bank always asks if that can be stopped, you know. So again, it's
Do they always call you and tell you when it's reoccupied?
that was always
never.
the issue under the old system is trying to track it. It's one thing to vacate it, but then how do you figure, you know, unlike NIPSCO and water where you have to have a meter so you know if it's back in service, that was always the struggle.
Well, I guess a bigger issue here is we should look at what other cities know this issue and see if there's something we can model. If it's been a vacant residence for X number of years.
And you can show them.
And you can prove that.
Yeah, the utilities haven't been turned on.
We drove by that for 25 years.
Yeah. But I mean, it never would have occurred to me that they were being billed for trash and sanitary.
What's that do to people's values of their property around them?
What?
This old condemned home sitting there on this piece of property, what's it do to the
Surrounding
surrounding neighborhood?
That doesn't have anything to do with the issue. It doesn't have anything to do with the issue.
What kind of conditions your home in? I'm sorry, what kind of conditions is home in? I mean.
Well, the roof doesn't leak, and the door's locked, and the windows are all intact. And
on the inside, after 25 years without running any electric or gas or anything, I mean, you would think just with the humidity and the cold weather that you would have issues to even sell the house. I mean, what's your intent? I guess what's the intent of the family to knock down the house and sell the property?
Well, I'd say this property is in the process of being sold. As a matter of fact, the city of Portage is in the process of getting appraisals at the moment with the intent of making an offer. Now, we don't know if we're going to accept that offer because we might be able to sell it for a better price on the open market. But it is under consideration and it will be sold because this trust has to get liquidated. It's in the process for 2 years, and so it's, you know, this land has been a real problem to get on the market and get sold.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the attorney a question?
Yes.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. If we were to go ahead as a board for this gentleman's trust and go ahead and stop where they have to make a payment on the sanitary and then someone else would have to do the trash, would that be setting some kind of a trend, a standard, or a precedent?
No, I think it's the correct thing to do, especially in this situation. I don't think it sets a precedent.
Okay.
I think you need to look into the habitability of this home as well.
But I have something though. We have a resident that's already here that has the same situation, and he was told no to pay the bill.
And I know one person too that was here at the same thing. But it wasn't as quite as long. So I think what we need to look at is how long it's been uninhabitable. I mean,
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion basically that the USB board does not charge this trust for their sanitary bill.
Back to March? Refund?
Yeah.
Refund?
Yeah.
Have you all paid the bills up to now?
No.
Oh.
We just don't charge them without setting any precedents. If it's been that many years, and I believe you, I mean, that was a great video you shot me.
Yeah.
An email. I mean, I just think it's the right thing to do as a human being.
Well, and so on the property over the last couple of years, and there's some old furniture and a few things, some old pots and pans in the kitchen, etc. The calendar that we have been able to find was dated 1992, which is 26 years ago.
Yeah. I second that motion. The marks.
Okay, fantastic. So
we need to do a roll call, or?
We don't know yet.
We appreciate that. What's really strange here is that we received a letter.
Hold on.
Hold on, we've got a motion on the floor. We've got to take care of that.
I won't get a vote on this.
So yeah, you better. Might change your minds.
So are you making this retroactive? Is your motion to do anything retroactive? Because I'm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how far back?
From when he first started getting billed?
Okay.
It's only been since what?
Since May, you said? I don't know.
Yeah, March or April.
Okay.
The bill is the
Okay.
bill I have in my hand is from October 1st to October 31st, due tomorrow, $204.80 total. That's all the past due amounts. Except, before you vote, one other quick thing. We did get a letter dated October the 5th from the Portage Utility Services, which is signed by Cheryl Smoller, indicating that because the account has been delinquent, it's been certified amount due in the amount of $351.60, which to me is strange because I don't understand, because 3 days later, on October the 8th, we received a letter indicating that the amount due was $204.80. I'm confused as to why the certified amount is $351.60.
Because they had election costs.
Yeah, one's a lien and one's your current balance. Once the property gets liened, it goes off of your monthly bill because it's now attached to the property.
Well, it says that it's possible that the delinquent amounts may be put on the Porter County tax, so you're saying this is an actual lien has been attached?
That's right.
Is it saying it's possible or it is?
It says a tax key. A tax key has been certified on your property.
It's about to all be made moot. Anyway, I have a feeling,
Okay.
so.
Yes.
I rest my case. Call the roll.
Call the roll.
Member, sorry, Scott, are you voting or no?
No,
Okay.
I'm confused myself, I didn't hear the entire testimony.
Member Clem?
Yes.
Member Cannon?
Yes.
Member Modesto?
Yes.
Member Zilli?
Yes.
Member Lynch?
Yes.
Member Prisco?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, sir. You had to come all the way out here for
Now, this was just sanitary.
Yeah.
So for trash, that's gonna be Board of Works.
Okay, and when do they meet, Chris?
The second and fourth Tuesday of each month at 9 a.m. right here.
Okay.
Chris, given that they presented this to us, can they send, rather than coming all the way from Plainfield, Illinois, can they send something to us, or do they have to appear personally?
It's not that's the mayor's call, so it's between, the mayor and Greg or
I would
something.
definitely say that we waived your fees, so. And if you write a letter, if you guys can't make it that one of the days.
Yeah, who would be the person that we would contact?
the
Mayor,
mayor's office.
Mayor's office.
The mayor's office?
Yep.
5425-762-5425.
Okay, so I can just send it to the office of the mayor?
Yes.
And this is which board is this that he's?
Board of Works.
Board of
Utility
Public Works.
Service Board,
The Board of Public?
Board of Works.
Board of Works.
Works.
Okay.
I would email them also, sir, and I would email somebody on this board.
Yes.
And you spoke
The
with
trash.
us, what had happened.
Yeah, for the trash.
So there's some history involved.
Okay, very good, thank you.
They'll meet again, November 13th and November 27th.
Okay, we'll communicate before then and see what we can make happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to come before the board, address the board? If not.
Motion to adjourn.